So David, thank you so much for coming on to this interview.
No worries.
Tell them your story about what you went through when you went on your TEDx journey. Because I don't know who's seen the talk or not, but tell them what you talked about in your TED talk, and then tell them about your journey that you had.
Okay, sure. So my TED talk is called How to Let Go of Your Past. And from meeting Minnie and LinkedIn to try and make her become my client, her deciding to have a chat with me and us talking, and then Minnie was like, do you know what? I think you could do a TED talk. Have you ever thought about doing one? And I was like, oh, really? I hadn't really thought of, I've always liked the idea of doing it, but I hadn't thought about that I had what it takes. And she was like, yeah, I think I can see something in you. I think you'd do a really good TED talk. So basically Minnie asked me to go and have a think about what I would do and then to pitch my idea. So I thought about how letting go of my past was what was so most close to my heart at the time. And so I put that as a topic. And basically what happened is we had to do a dress rehearsal. And the first time round that we did this rehearsal, I was so nervous and I was very in my head when I was giving the talk. And I remember Minnie speaking to me very straight and saying that they're thinking about pulling me from actually doing the talk. And it hit home and I was like, fuck, I'm going to have to, like, something's going to have to shift. Like, I'm going to have to buck my ideas up if I'm going to actually pull this off, because they had a standard that they wanted to represent and they wanted the speakers to really own their talk if they were going to be on stage. And so that's when I realized that I actually had to let go of the past, and I actually really had to embody that as a truth in order to be able to speak it in a relaxed way in front of 300 odd people that were at the stage. And the experience was so transformational for me, and I was able to really evolve myself as a person after that. And so my story, I was born, when I was at birth, I had a stroke, which basically affected the whole right side of my body. And I was quite caught up in a victim story around that. And to be honest, it wasn't until kind of sharing this story with 300 people was I able to really transcend that archetype and transcend that identity and move on. And not to say that you should do it for that, but it's one of the best self-development things I've ever done, and it's very rewarding.
So let me put some context into what David just said there. When I spoke to David, he didn't know I was a TEDx curator. You didn't know that at all, did you?
No.
You were trying to get me to do some online funnel thing, I can't remember, which I still haven't done with you. I couldn't message you the other day, can you fix my funnel for me? But when I got talking to David, I thought, he's such a cheeky chappy. He's trying to pitch me here. It's brilliant. It's hilarious. I love it. So we were having a conversation and we were just talking about our backgrounds, and you were talking to me about your life and I was talking to you about different things. And when I heard about his stories, I was actually born disabled. I was like, oh, right, talk to me about that. And we went through this and I said, I think you've got a good thing here. I'm going to go and vouch for you. I'm going to say, I've got this guy, I think we should put him forward for a talk. And you do beatboxing as well, don't you? So I was like, yeah, we could do it. We could do some beatboxing. I think it'd be really cool. And they were like, yeah, that's really great. So we'd made this agreement of what David was going to do. I'm going to say this now. I hope you don't mind. David ran away from his own story. How many of us have done that? David ran away from his own story because he rocked up and he decided to hire some singing coach and something else, and he was going to write a song. And you stood there, and in fairness to you, you got this whole thing out and you started singing, and it was just like, oh, I don't know how you must have felt, but it was just like silent, and everyone was like, oh, I thought he was going to do this, and I was like, so did I. So then it was like, don't worry, sort this out. And I literally just, because I knew that you could take it, I knew you could take it, me saying to you, David, stop, all of that stuff's nonsense. This is not you. Stop running away from your own story. Stop running away from who you are. Stop and be authentic, because we love you for who you are. You don't need to any of that stuff. It's all nonsense. Stop it. Get back to who you are. And that was the theme of that event, was home, coming back to home. And it's, you were talking about coming back home to your body and just accepting all that. And actually, I've never seen anyone do such a fast pivot and a turnaround. And the energy, like everyone was saying at the event, oh my word, David Bentley was insane. He was just like on there and asked about everyone's. You don't get that necessarily from the video, but at the live event, you really made the event. Everyone was like, David is the star of the show. I remember you jumped off the stage and you ran up to me and you picked me up. You're like, I did it. And I was like,
I know.
We were really happy. We had a great time.
Yeah, such an amazing feeling, such an amazing time. Yeah.
And what are you doing? What are you doing now? What have you done since then? Because I remember you messaged me after, then you were like, I'm changing my whole business. I'm traveling. I'm doing it. You just went and just changed a whole load of things in your life.
Yeah.
Made a big.
I went travel. Yeah, I've been working online. Like being able to travel whilst I work has been an important value for me. But like having the TED Talk in a online space where people are always looking to learn about somebody. And actually I heard a new term, actually. They call it like the Google sniff or something like this, where if you're thinking about working with someone or you want to learn a bit more about them, you Google them. And, you know, it's like a standard practice. And what I've found is having done a TED Talk, what that adds to credibility is just amazing, because it's just something that just stands out. It's because it's so rare, and they're able to get a sense of who you are as a person, like in a really authentic way. It's in one of the most authentic ways. So it's definitely contributed to a lot of business success, which I hadn't really considered. It doesn't really matter what I do. It doesn't matter the industry or what. To show that as clout it's been really good. So yeah, I'm grateful for that.
So your talk wasn't even about what you do in your business. It was your personal story about how you recovered. You know, because David, his powerful thing that he did as his opener, we were like, you do that, you stand up and you put your arm and you say to everyone, put your arm like this, put your leg like that. We
got everyone to do it, didn't we? All 300 people.
Yeah, everyone stand up and did some really cute stuff. Hi, Mom, and stuff like that in the middle of it. It was just really sweet. It was really authentic and genuine. And it was that side of you that you hadn't been showing until that point. You were more, I'm a cool dude.
Because that's what it is, like, where people want to feel like, just on the sale, talking about business now and meeting potential clients, they're interested in working with someone that's authentic. So that's what's important. So what I found, it doesn't matter if I'm going to work with someone to do specifically with Facebook ads, if they get a sense of me. Because what I found is somebody that could see that video and see the authenticity and resonates with that is much more likely the type of person that I want to work with anyway. If they saw that video and it was an issue for them, then they're not the type of client for me. And that's what I found as well. So it's also like a filter because working with the type of clients that you really light you up is so important, because our energy, we have limited energy. We don't want to work with people that drain us all the time. So yeah, it's been really good.
That's great. Energy is everything.
Yeah,
I was basically saying, in your pitch, that energetic intent that you have, that energetic energy that you have, that you put into that pitch or everything that you are doing, this is for every single thing you do. If you've got that energetic intent of, I'm going to make myself a really nutritious, delicious meal, and you go into it with that, you really do things in a different way to, oh, I'm starving, I just want to eat something, whatever, and shove it in your face. It's all the energetic intent. And I think that's the thing I saw with you when I was speaking to you. I was like, there's this side to David that he's not revealing. And I think he should reveal it, because I think that other people need to see, I think other guys of your age need to see that.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, I'd also say that it was terrifying to get up on stage. And I remember, Minnie, I don't know if you remember this much, but you was like, you had your eye on me because you were wondering what I was doing. I was like moving my body a lot, like moving around, because
You're like this.
I was really nervous. And it was a case of being able to control my breath and center myself and just move into it and keep myself grounded as I was talking. And the process of being able to go through that is so empowering as a skill set to learn. But there's a lot of things that came up along the way. And I think even looking back on it, that first time was there was a lot of self-sabotage going on because I wasn't showing up to the meetings on time as well, like our meetings. And
That's right.
and then I flopped the first take, and it wasn't if it wasn't for you guys giving me another chance and seeing the potential in me, I could have lost that. All down to self-sabotage. So I would just be aware of the resistance that may come up and to push through that, because it's worth it. There's so much growth worth it. And if you can show yourself that you can do this, then you can show yourself you can do the next thing, which is even bigger, because you'll want to conquer the bigger stage, the bigger feat. So you get momentum with it, and that's what's really beautiful.
You absolutely do get momentum. I'm going to call this out. What I'm hearing is people are like, yeah, I really want to do this. But then when you talk to them, oh, I've just got to write my book. Oh, I'll do it later. Oh, I'm busy with this other thing right now. And so it doesn't add up. So I'm like, but you really want to do this. So why aren't you just going for it? So what would you say to somebody who's thinking that? Do you see that as self-sabotage? Or do you see that as a story that they're telling themselves? I know what I think, but I'm just intrigued to what you think.
Yeah, I would ask what your why is. And if you have a good enough reason to do it, then to go for it. And any stories that come up after you've committed, after you've got clear on it and you've committed, just to be aware that they're excuses. It's very easy to come up with an excuse not to do something, especially when it's so confronting as something like this, because it's so easy to hide. There's a statistic, or there's a quote, like what is it? I mean, people relate public speaking to death. It's like some people would rather die than actually have to public speak. It's the same kind of intensity of emotion, and we're not actually taught it. If you think at school and growing up, we're not taught, I'm going to just be fully exposed and I'm just going to share my most vulnerable part of myself, which maybe my family haven't even seen before, especially in my case. In my case as well, it was that in a vulnerable side that people all around the world are going to see on this world stage. It's not a small feat, and it's to recognize the fact that there might be this excitement early on, and then there can be a lot of terror and a lot of fear and a lot of these different emotions that are coming up, and resistance, and to be aware of them. Because if you can move through this process, and this is what Minnie was really great at, like calling me out on it and supported me through this, because if you can be aware of these stories and this resistance that comes up and move through it, then you can get the momentum, and you can also show yourself that you can do bigger things than this, as well as get all the leverage that you can get from actually doing the talk, which you don't actually know what avenues that's going to open, because it's such a crowded marketplace, if you like, of people on the online space. It just counts for a lot to have something that's unique, that makes you stand out to the other 1,000 people that are also trying to do, 10,000 million people that are also trying to do the same things that you're doing. And if it so happens that person connects with your story in a personal way, you don't know what that could create either, because they could be like, hey, I've got this interview I'd like you to do, I've got this job I'd like you to do. it can go anywhere. It's like a maze. You just don't know, because that's going out to the world. So anyone could call you, contact you. I want you to work with me. I want this to happen. Do you know what I mean? So there's lots of possibilities there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you remember there was the guy that came up to you, the curator from the other TEDx event?
Yeah.
His son,
yeah,
or
in Coventry or something. Yeah.
Coventry or Leicester or somewhere like that. And he said, oh, my child had a disability or something. And he was like, I need to talk to you. Could you come and do another talk for us at another event?
Yeah, that's a prime example. It happened straight away. There was an invitation instantly.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? This is the domino effect of visibility, I feel. It's as soon as you start something, it goes in a domino effect. It leads to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, and it just keeps going. And I think the problem is people lose momentum. Momentum is one of the hardest things to get going. Once you've got momentum, ride the wave, don't stop, because inertia is even more powerful force than momentum. It's like sitting and doing nothing and being stuck in your own situation is so easy to do. But to get momentum, to get that energy going, carry on. If you've got the momentum, keep going with that. It's really amazing.
For sure. Yeah, and just being open to the possibilities of where it can take you as well, with being open to what doors can actually be open to you, or what invitations are actually could show up in your reality. And also being confident enough to say yes to them, even if it doesn't feel completely like you, because you're actually evolving your identity at this point as well. And you've got an opportunity to evolve into a whole new identity, a whole new person, which basically gives you the opportunity to create a whole new reality. And that new reality, you can manifest whatever you want.
What's interesting, Andrew alluded to it and you've alluded to it as well, but I think what people don't appreciate by doing something as crazy as doing a TED talk, or anything that's a bit crazy and outside the comfort zone, is the level of personal development and personal transformation that you go through when you do that. I don't know whether I'm coming across as a bit of a hard taskmaster of come on, stop that and all of that. But actually, I don't know what your experience is, David. You can just be really honest with this. But I do taskmaster. Yeah. But I do feel like I do hold the space for people to I know when to push them, and I know when to support them, and I know when to hold the space for them.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I understand what they're going through, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I hear you. Let's push it through on this bit. Let's look at this. I think more. I think I'm encouraging. Is that true, or do you think I'm just a?
Yeah, definitely. I know, like, you volunteered for that role, and you gave your own time for that, and you still showed up for me even more than what the recommended allocated time was, and that was because you cared about it, and you cared about me, and I really felt that, and I really felt held and supported for you. So with you, yeah, it wouldn't have happened without you, or been pulled off anywhere near, what happened. So I've got a lot to thank for you for my transformation.
Thank you. And I've got a lot to thank for you as well, for showing up and doing it, because it's two to tango, right? David, thank you for sharing from your heart. Yes, high vibes. Thank you, David. Ready to light up the world. Energy and authenticity is the key nowadays. We can all sniff it out. Yeah, that's true. Great insights and inspiration. Oh, wonderful. I'm going to finish the interview now. All right, so I'm going to say bye-bye. David, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome. I really enjoyed it.
That's great. Have a nice evening.